Welcome back, dudes. Had a fantastic weekend. Hopefully you guys did as well. Was able to take care of a lot of family stuff that was going on, and I wanted to come back with a bang. So today we're going to be talking about one of, if not the most important skill in Idleon, and that is going to be Alchemy. Now, Alchemy is going to be your gateway to seeing higher damage. It's going to be your gateway to getting bigger skills and bigger gains as far as sampling. And it's going to be your gateway to ultimately getting, super high accuracy and super high defense. So there's going to be a lot to go into today. So let's get into it. Part 1 is going to be a general overview of the Alchemy skill as you look at it. So as we come into the first tab that is going to open up once you open up Alchemy for the first time, each specific class, is what I'm going to call it, has a specific cauldron. So that is split up between the orange for warriors, the green for archers, bowmen, hunters, etc., the purple for wizards, shamans, bubonic conjurers, etc., and finally the yellow, which I will call a general cauldron, as well as for the maestro and the J-man. As you go into it, you're going to notice two different options on each of the specific cauldrons. Now, when you first start out, you are not going to be at 3.34 million an hour as far as filling up this top bar. So this progress bar is what is going to determine whether or not you can effectively try for a new bubble or boost one of your skills. So when it comes to boosting these skills, as it says in the tool description, the speed is going to increase the brew rate of that cauldron by X amount. Luck is your new bubble chance, which is going to be times X higher. Your cost, which is how much it's going to cost to upgrade a specific bubble, and then 2 times extra. Extra essentially just means your chance to go from level 90 to level 92 with no additional cost on you. So for example, if I wanted to go from 90 to 91, it would take me 1.99 M, so 1.99 million logs, and the 6 liquid capacity to go to it. Now with the extra chance, I have a 226% chance for a brew double level, which means I could go from 90 to 92 without any additional materials. Going into the second tab, this is going to be your liquid tab, which is split up into water droplets. Once you hit level 20, that is going to be the liquid nitrogen. And then I want to say it's level 45 or 40 when you unlock the trench seawater. Now, each of these specific cauldrons has its own different things that you can buy up here between obols. You can buy upgrade stones, distilled water, which is going to be huge for you, especially at the start of the game. One measly gem, which I don't recommend unless you happen to be exactly one gem off of being able to buy something. A star book. The star book in question is going to be TikTok. So it's your ability for percent away gains for both fighting and skills. It's a pretty good skill book, so I would aim to try and get that as high as possible. XP balloons, again, I don't really recommend buying those just because at a certain level they don't scale as much as they should, and there's really no point to them. For the small donation, there's a quest that does request that you use the small donations, and outside of that, I obviously don't put any points into the box that looks like it's flipping you off. Next is going to be the decent obols, which says it could be a random low quality obol, except low is rated by someone with higher standards, so it's more likely a medium obol. These do have the ability to give you silver. I've yet to see a gold obol or anything from using these, so I personally do not use them. I would use your liquid, your droplets, to a better use, which would be putting it into either capacity or rate. So capacity, how much liquid that cauldron can hold. So mine, as an example, is 1,775, and this one's 1739. This one is 1359. Going on into the second tab, this is going to be a mixture of the liquid nitrogen and the trench seawater. That is for grand obols. It could be a super rare gold obol, but it's most likely going to be a bronze obol. That is very accurate. This isn't necessarily the best either. If you're having, dog luck trying to get obols, sure, that is a possibility. The bargain tag, now this is very, very important, especially the closer you get to medium to end game. It's going to cut off a percent up to 90% from leveling up a specific bubble. So for example, this is the one I'm going after right now, trying to get up as much as I humanly can. So the diamond shaft uses a specific spice, and it asks for a lot of it. 27.4 thousand spice is a lot, but if you cut that down by 90%, you're looking at something around 2.7 to 3,000 spice, which much more reasonable. So that's something you're going to use a lot, especially in game. Dense water is essentially the same thing as the first water. It does have its uses, especially in crafting items, but at the moment you're probably not going to worry about it too much. A pair of gems, exactly as it says, 2 gems. Would not buy unless you happen to be exactly 2 gems away from a very good purchase. Talent points, something that I think is severely underrated, and I would put points into until it starts to become unreasonable. These are going to give you talent points into the 3rd talent tab, which is, for ours, would be the Alchemy tab. So I would recommend it, especially if you're trying to, at the start, really bolster up your shaman. It's a very, very good purchase. In the 3rd tab, we're going to have vials. Vials can honestly get their own video, but the long and short of it is it's passive upgrades in order to make your account better just overall. This would honestly take its own separate video just on how to get up to the higher levels. So if you guys do want a separate level or a separate video on just vials, that's something we can look at. And then last but not least, this is probably the most important tab, especially when you're first starting off, on how you're going to build your account and be able to get those cauldrons up to speed, how to make them actually work for you a little bit better. So each cauldron, from the warrior, archer, wizard, and we'll call this the beginner, journeyman, maestro cauldron. So each one, as Lava is put in here in the tool text, has a max of 150 speed, 125 bubble, and a 100 boost requirement. Now, as it's going up in the levels, it's obviously going to cost you more and more money in order to be able to obtain that. I would say first coming in, the 2 most important are going to be your speed and your new bubble. The boost requirement, essentially, from my understanding, that lessens the amount that your cauldron has to go forward in order to achieve a new level. So for example, let's say without that upgrade, this would be at 2 million. Now it's at 1.56, just to put that into a frame of reference. So speed, new bubble, very important. I would worry about boost requirement, but a little bit later on when the levels are actually starting to become harder to obtain. For the water drops, these have a capacity or a max of 180 for the regen rate and the capacity for all 3 of the cauldrons that you do have at your disposal. And then the vials, there's 2 different upgrades that you can get. You have 15 attempts at a 45 RNG. Essentially what that means is you're going to get plus 15 daily vial attempts. And the RNG is a % chance for an epic gamer moment, which means you only have to drop that material 1 time in order for a chance for it to end up in the vial list, as opposed to having to continuously drop it over and over again. Then down here on the bottom right, and I won't discuss sigils in this video because that could take its own video as well. And if you're watching this video to get tips on how to make alchemy better, chances are you may or may not have unlocked sigils anyway, and I don't want to make this video longer than it has to be covering the sigils. So for alch speed, the most important, absolutely. So if you did not know, if you don't put points into this, you're going to start off with a base amount of alchemy experience an hour. So it will not be 2,000 an hour. It won't be. It will be something like 4 or 5. And essentially what this does, it's a % multiplier to your speed based on your alchemy level. So let's say, just for the sake of the argument, you start off at 5. Once you hit level 2 in alchemy, you'll go up to 10, then you'll go up to 15, then you'll go up to 20. So it's a very linear progression. What this does is it boosts that by 14.4% additional speed per alchemy level, and it's cannot go over this enough. You need to put points into this if you want to push even harder. And then extra XP, exactly as it says, just extra XP. Part 2 is going to be the gem shop. For the alchemy skill, there is one specific upgrade I would recommend if you are intent on spending money inside of Idleon. That is going to be the ivory bubble cauldrons. Essentially what it is, it's for each of the respective cauldrons. You can buy this one time. It's going to allow you to assign 2 extra players, and it also has 1.5 times faster brewing and 1.5 times higher new bubble chance. Again, I don't recommend spending money if you don't have that available, but if you do, it is obviously a very good upgrade. Part 3 is going to be the post office. There is a very good box for the alchemy skill. That's the potion package. It's going to give you a % times to your brewing speed, your alchemy XP, and your cranium cooking time. Essentially, more brewing speed, allowing you to reach those new bubbles and boost faster. Alchemy XP, to be able to get that alchemy XP up even higher, which allows you to unlock those different liquids. It also makes your brewing speed faster, because if you saw it, your brewing speed goes up by that 14.4% per alchemy level. And then cranium cooking time, I'm going to cover when we get to talents. Speaking of talents, part 4 is going to be your talents. So the alchemy skill is primarily benefited by having a shaman. Any wizard class is going to have a higher brew speed than a non-wizard class, just because of the way that wisdom works into specialized skills, which alchemy is a wisdom primarily skill. So going into how I put my points, smart efficiency, active AFK, which is good for your chopping. Book of the Wise, just because we are a wizard, we're going to use that for our chopping and our alchemy skills. Part 2, which is going to be your mage. This is more or less all about your chopping. Now, you can't put points into your wisdom through individual insight and inner peace, which increases XP gain for all specialized skills, which as a shaman, that is going to be your alchemy, so I do recommend inner peace. Now, the shaman tab itself, super important, and you're probably going to switch this more than 1 or 2 times. When you first come into the game, one of the most important skills that you can go into as far as leveling up alchemy is going to be bubble breakthrough. So that's going to give you a % alchemy XP and odds of a new bubble when brewing on this player. Now, I do see a lot of people trying to brew on their maestros, trying to brew on their journeymen, their warriors, their bowmen. The class that should be coming every single time to unlock that new bubble for you is going to be your shaman. And then the second most important is split between busy brewing, which is a % brew speed for this character, and sharing some smarts, which is all characters in the same cauldron as this one are going to gain a % alchemy experience boost. And then last but not least, and what probably won't really become important to you until you start to get into World 3 and World 4, where you're active playing on a shaman, is cranium cooking. But essentially killing a monster, and at level 90, this is what, 18.9 seconds. It will give you instant alchemy progress, which will last for 55 seconds. So that's where that brew speed comes in. It's essentially a 1, sometimes 2 times a day until you get to Bubo, and you're able to, slow down the timer with Tentacle Eye. It's a direct increase to your brew speed an hour. Part 5 is going to be the bubbles to aim for if you're going for damage. Now, this will be split up into 3 different sections. It's going to be damage, it's going to be utility, and then it's going to be, damage, then skilling, and then utility. So, first section is going to be damage. I would recommend doing an even spread across all of the first bubbles and all of the different cauldrons. Now, these are all your primary stats. So, for warrior strength, archer's agility, wisdom for your your mages, and then luck, which benefits all of your classes, but primarily it's going to be your maestro and your J-man. Now, the second bubble across the board is going to be a passive bonus, which increases 1 point or X times more bonus to your respective classes, which is going to be your warriors, archers, mages, and then the second one is drop rate for this, so that one not as important. Moving on up, we're going to be looking for your direct damage boosts. So all the way up until level 5, those are the only bonuses you're going to get. Now we're going to get into level 5. Level 5 in the warrior cauldron is going to give us big meaty claws. That's a direct damage increase by X amount. That increases how much max HP you have above, 250? Quick slap, that's going to increase your base damage by how much movement speed you have above 110%. Name, I guess, is going to increase base damage by X. That's how much max MP you have above 150%. And then we're going to keep on scrolling up until we find the next bubble that I want to explain to you guys. Bappity Boopity, that's for critical damage. So that is a level, what is that, 8 in the Warrior Cauldron. Cheap Shot, which is your level 8 in your Archer Cauldron. That is for critical chance. All for Kill, that's your attack talents giving X% higher bonuses to offlane gains than they normally do. And then the most important, and this is going to be across the board for all the different cauldrons, is Britley Spears, which is a % total damage, which multiplies with other damage bonuses and adds with the other plus percentage total damage bubbles. So essentially what that means is that these 3 bubbles add together. So we're looking at this bubble, Matty Stafford, 23.5% total damage, added to 24.8, added to 21.7. So just for argument's sake, we'll say that's 75% total damage. This is where it scales in the end game to be able to hit, 100 mil, 150 mil, 200 million damage. And then scrolling on up, I would say Buff Boy talent, your Fast Boy talent, and your Smart Boy talent, which are increases to your talent point spending pool. As a damage increase, just because that allows you to put points into the skills that you need to be able to flush out your builds just a little bit more. So scrolling all the way up to the top, and across the board we're going to be looking at your, I want to say that is your level 14 skill. So that is Molt Orange, that is Prima-Green, and Several Purple. It's going to increase by an X amount all the bonuses of what is displayed on your 1, 3, 6, 10, and 12 bubbles, which a lot of those are your damage bubbles. Then we're coming up to Hyper Swift in the Mage Tree, which is going to be an X% basic attack speed. Just like everything else, boost your AFK kills an hour if you do enough damage. And I do believe that is going to be all of the damage bubbles that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Alright, section 6 is going to be utility. There's 2 specifically that I want to talk about, and those are your level 7 bubbles in both the Archer and the Warrior Cauldron respectively. The Archer Cauldron, I want to talk about Shakracy. That is going to give your secondary stat, so Wisdom for Warrior, Strength for Archer, and Agility for Mage, a % more accuracy than normal. So especially World 3 and World 4, where accuracy starts to become, absolutely terrible, and you're not able to hit crystal mobs anymore. You're going to have to come back, farm up those bloaches and those tropologs, and get accuracy up as high as you can in order to be able to continue to hit the monsters. And FMJ is the second most important. I would say that accuracy being the most important, defense being the second most important. So that is a % more defense from equipment, and 1 base defense per class level up to 23. So essentially that's an additional 23 defense for free, and this is 23% more defense from equipment. So that is how you're going to be able to get into World 4 alongside the Issachin Shrine, and being able to have that 100% survivability rate without having to worry about dying. Part 7 is going to be the skilling, and I would recommend the other videos that go over the specific skill that you're looking for, whether that be mining, whether that be smithing, chopping, catching, and fishing. Just because going into all the respective bubbles and what they do would make this video about an hour long, which I have no problem doing, but then it wouldn't necessarily be a 10-minute tip or trick video. So I would recommend the specific video, and I'll put a playlist at the end of this that has all of those videos in one easy spot for you guys. That way you can just go click on the one that you need to help the most with. Alright boys, I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Kind of a quick video, get back into the swing of things coming back from dealing with the family. I did get a recommendation. Somebody wanted to see construction after this, so that's definitely something I think we can look after. I just need to school myself on construction and how not to be terrible at it. That way I can put that into a good video for you guys. Hopefully this does help you get those alchemy gains a little bit higher. I do believe wholeheartedly that is probably one of the most important skills in the game. to level up, because if you do, that's how you get those in-game, damage stats you see everybody bragging about. But hopefully this video did help. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you boys in the next one.